and thank you for joining this brand new episode of Speaking of Happy with your host, Eli Rigatuso. Joining us is CeCe McQueen, mother of the House of McQueen and the proud owner of the Drag Brunch Lincoln, among other amazing accomplishments during a 12-year career performing in Lincoln and soon to be in Omaha. Thanks for joining us for this brand new episode of Speaking of Happy, starting right now. Woo. I hope everyone can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Welcome back to a fun-filled and exciting episode of Speaking of Happy. I'm Eli Rigatuso, owner and creator of the same. I love having conversations with people who are doing amazing things in our community and promoting what they're up to so that we can all be in the know, right? So excited. I was so excited to read about what's coming to Omaha. On today's show, we have the mother of the House of McQueen, CeCe McQueen, proud owner and promoter of the Drag Brunch Lincoln, co-owner and promoter of the Miss City Sweetheart pageant. CeCe has been performing for 12 years and got her start on the stage at the Q, for those of you who go back that far. I'm one of them. When she was only 17 years old. She's captured many titles along the way: Miss Flicks, Drag Idol, City Sweetheart, Miss Nebraska National Showgirl, and Miss Q. Her goal within the community is to teach and uplift new artists, as well as to provide safe and educational platforms for the trans community. Through the art of drag, she says, we've been able to explore and express ourselves in the most beneficial ways possible. CeCe is very thankful she's been given such an illustrious career and says there isn't anything else she would rather be doing. Welcome to the show, CeCe McQueen.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
I am so excited to have you on the show. You look fabulous, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You always put yourself together so nicely. Listen, I really love, and I'm so excited. And we're going to get to the really, really good news soon. I mean, most people already know what's going on, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about your backstory. Okay. Tell me a little bit about your time at the Q and just any memories that stand out to you. Because I mean, what a huge tragedy and a loss for the community. I don't mean to laugh about that, but it's like, the Q for some of us is one of those places that we would just never forget. Right.
Yeah. So it was a strange occurrence how I found the Q because at the time I was a freshman in college and I was estranged from my family. I had just came out as trans and I had nowhere to call home. And so the individuals that I met at the Q, they became my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. Anywhere that I needed to be, it was always the Q. So like on holidays, I would always be at the Q, whether it was Christmas. I always had a family to call my own and had a place to go. I was never left lonely or without resources because the Q is always there. So it means a lot to me to kind of have that legacy of the Q. But it is sad that we no longer have the Q here.
I know. I mean, it bums me out because there are still so many of our young people in need of that kind of support and connection and love. I mean, one of the things that I really love about the community that you're creating and some of the communities that are being created, I've seen a lot of this coming out of especially the Lincoln drag or performers. I don't always want to say drag because, there's a distinction that that happens now because it's really not about being a drag queen anymore. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's more about being a performer. Can you share a little bit about that distinction?
Yeah, so a lot of entertainers is what I generally just say entertainers, because a lot of entertainers, they don't feel comfortable with using the term drag queen because sometimes that means that there is the allusion to female or male. Some of us, like myself, I'm an entertainer or I prefer the term a showgirl because we are just heightening our personal identity. And so as a female, a trans woman, and when I get on stage, I'm not changing who I am to present something or entertain a crowd. I'm simply just enhancing or overdoing to create a sense of enjoyment.
Yeah, and it's that, it's I mean, it is an exaggerated expression. It's not like that's how you go out in the world every
Hmm.
day, right?
Yeah.
But it also helps, I think, what I hear from a lot of folks who have been performing for many, many years is that they've actually found themselves in the art of creating that illusion of drag.
Hmm.
But then there's that transition that happened, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I really love about a lot of the things that are coming up is like I'm seeing T-girls, which sounds super exciting. That's going to be happening at Doss House, and you've been doing the drag brunch now for a while. How long have you been
Hmm.
doing that in Lincoln?
So this will be our 10th show
Wow.
in Lincoln, and we're coming up on a year, and I'm just so blessed to have this opportunity to create another venue in which we as entertainers get to perform.
Yeah, so tell me, how did the drag brunch get started in Lincoln?
Yeah, so I honestly got so tired of traveling back and forth to Kansas City or Des Moines because like from Lincoln, Kansas City and Des Moines are like sometimes 3 to 4 hours worth of driving. And then you get there, you have to get your own hotel room, and then you're performing all night long, and then you have to drive back. And sometimes you're not paid but what, $50? And sometimes that's not worth it. And so I wanted to kind of make a space here. I saw the opportunity to kind of host a drag brunch. We didn't have a drag brunch in Lincoln before. I think we had one once at Doss House, and it was kind of like a gospel brunch, and it was just kind of smaller. But I wanted to kind of take the idea of a drag brunch in Lincoln and kind of run with it and see where it could go. I I was talking to a friend, Rebecca, about maybe bringing the idea to Lincoln, and she was like, "Oh, yes, we would love that," because she's gone with me to Iowa and Des Moines and Kansas City to watch me perform, and as as fans or supporters, it's kind of taxing to make my supporters drive 3 4 hours their way to kind of support me. So it's kind of nice that they are now able to just drive a block away
Yeah.
and come out and see a show and support. And it's kind of nice that us as entertainers now have an opportunity to work on Sundays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I personally appreciate the fact that um, it's happening in during regular hours. I'm
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
usually in bed
Hmm.
by the time you're performing, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
I love performers. I have adored so many different performers in the Omaha area over the years, and I just feel so grateful to just the community and that camaraderie that is really created. It's very separate and distinct from just hanging out at the bar, right?
Yeah.
There,
It's a totally different vibe, and I love how we get to incorporate all ages when it comes to brunches, and it's not just kids that get to come see the show. It's a lot of our older generation that gets to come see the show. The people who really got me interested in performing or supported me 10 years ago that are now like too old to stay out, then they get to come see a brunch and they still get to enjoy it because we are doing two shows, and the first one starts at 11, the latest goes to about 3 4 in the afternoon, and that's still plenty of time to get home, catch up on the news, cook your dinner, eat dinner with the family, and still get to bed on time.
yeah,
So
I love it. I love it. So okay, so I'm gonna go back a little bit because I know I kind of fast forwarded and kind of skipped over. But what would you say attracted you to performing to begin with?
yeah, in high school I was in vocal music, I did drama, I was in all the school plays, and I was also a cheerleader and a dancer. And so it's kind of a similar environment in which I started. So I just wanted to continue from high school to college and then now to an adulthood. And I was able to create a career from that. And it's amazing how it was just so natural. So in college, when I first found out about the queue, and I wandered in there, 17 years old, and I got to see my first performance ever, and it was Jessica West Bauer, and I was just like, oh, she's dancing, she's kicking, and I was super excited. I was like, I could do that. That could be a way of me being able to express myself and get on stage and dance and sing and have fun.
Yeah.
And so my first show, I did it, and I've never looked back. I was put in a showcast my very first time on stage, and a showcast is when you're regularly booked each week. So you have a paid gig each week, and I
Wow.
was so blessed and so lucky to have the opportunity where fresh out the gate, I was booking shows left and right, and I it kind of took off from there. But then as time went on and the queue is no longer available, then I stopped performing so much.
Mm.
Luckily, there are new venues such as the Alley was here, and then that's long gone. Panic was here, that's long gone. But now there's Dawes House, or we can go to Omaha and perform at Flicks or the Max.
Mhm.
We'll probably get into it later as to why drag brunches aren't held at Dawes House, Flicks, or the Max. But I'm so lucky that those bars were in place and I got to perform there and get my start to express myself in a performance aspect as I got to in high school.
Yeah. So what would you say? What's your most favorite memory of when you were starting out in drag? For those that might be watching along who are new to drag, and just interested in the whole process, like what would you say is just a memory that you look back on from that time, 12 years ago, that just really sticks with you?
So I wasn't really familiar about how drag worked. I assumed like you just got on stage and you got your name and you kind of became like this big, well known entertainer and you just worked every week. That's not really how it worked. You kind of wanted to be a part of pageants
Mm.
to show your professionalism, show how polished you were in order to get booked in shows. And so it did become a time where they were like, hey, you probably should get a title. And so I started running for pageants. And the biggest pageant at that time was Miss Q. And I was like so ready. And I was like rehearsing with my dancers and we had prepared for months. We had costumes, hair, gowns, jewelry. It took a long time and a lot of preparation and a huge team. But when it came down to the pageant night, and I was just astounded by how many people were packed inside the queue. And the queue was not that big, if you remember. It was
Yeah.
not that big of a
No.
venue. And so
Mhm.
I bet there was probably like 400 people in there. And they were all there for the pageant. And
Yeah.
we had this moment where I had to climb down a ladder from the roof of the queue. And so I climbed down the ladder and I started shaking so bad. And so it was a swinging ladder. And so the ladder started like swinging almost.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so nervous because this was like my first big experience of being in a huge pageant.
Yeah.
And it was just astounding how many people came out and supported the first pageant. And I almost lost it in the first few seconds of my talent number by almost falling. But I made it through, and that was my first big realization how impactful you can be as an entertainer and how
Yeah.
great it feels to have a sense of community and support within the queue or venue.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, and this was going on probably 3 decades ago now. I was actually asked to judge a pageant, I believe at
Oh,
the Max, and I just remember, like, I had already loved drag performers, like, I
mhm.
already loved performers, and I'm sure it was because, it was like seeing someone who, like, really truly embodied the character that they were creating, all the way down to, like, the perfection in the lip syncing. Like, I loved all of that, but what really struck me was doing the interviews and hearing about just, how important performing was to these folks, and, so I mean, I have just a special place in my heart. I wish I wasn't so old because
So seasoned.
I'd probably yes, more I'm very seasoned. Um, I'd probably go to more shows, but I'll tell you what, I bought tickets right away. I have my tickets already for
Oh,
the
thank you so
brunch in
much.
Omaha, and I'm super excited about it. So look forward to that. But so tell me a little bit about how we got to this point of okay, successful year in Lincoln doing the drag brunch. Um, what started the process to bring it to Omaha?
Yeah, so it's a combination of the entertainers that have been supporting or had interest in performing in the drag brunch, as well as just a need to have a brunch in Omaha. There is a brunch in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and they kind of have their own thing, but there is a need for the Omaha community to still feel supported or still have employment on Sundays.
Mhm.
And it's just not steady yet in Omaha. There was a little trickle of brunches in Omaha, and I think those went off great. But I would like to see like stable brunches, one each month or one every other month. And so when I was asked to attend a meeting at Barrel and Vine in South Omaha, I was I was hesitant. I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to host my own brunch in Omaha. There's still so much I want to do in Lincoln. I just don't know if like we're ready yet." But when I got there and I saw the venue, I was just astounded. I was just like, "This is exciting.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think we got to do
is
this."
this a relatively new space?
Yeah, Barrel and Vine. I've never been there before, and I think they recently just opened. I think it's not a franchise, but I think it's a local business. And so I think that's also important that local businesses support local businesses.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. One of my friends, Shane, approached me. He just messaged me and said, "Hey, come on down. Let's have a meeting. I think having a brunch here on Sundays would really benefit you and benefit us.
So
So
tell
let's
me
collaborate."
yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see this place. I have never even heard of the location, so I was kind of,
Yeah.
interested in that as well. Um, but tell me a little bit about the lineup, this first lineup of folks who are gonna be joining you on the stage.
Yeah, so this first show in Omaha, I'm excited because I never get to work in Omaha as often as I would because I live in Lincoln. But I'm excited because there's a lot of great entertainment that finally gets to be untapped, you know? And so we're bringing Felicia Savage, who is a native Lincoln entertainer who's amazing and she's huge. She's actually one of my family members within the community, a huge source or a huge resource. And she is actually going to start managing the Omaha Drag Brunch for me.
Nice.
So if there's anything that I can't do, of course she can do. And I'm happy to have her. So Felicia Savage will be joining us for the first show, as well as her daughter, Chanel Savage.
Yes. Oh my
Chanel
gosh.
Savage is
Oh,
known as my auntie. She's a great live vocalist. She's just a well-rounded entertainer.
yeah.
She's the ultimate triple threat. She
Oh,
can
yeah.
act, she can sing, and she can dance.
You know,
You know,
little
there's no
throwback.
one like,
There's a
yeah,
little throwback I have for you. I some friends of mine used to have this show called The Gay Hour,
the gay
and it was
hour.
2 lesbians and a gay man, and they came into my studio, and we would film their show, and we had Chanel on the show. And I knew Chanel, I had known Chanel, but I was
Mhm,
like, "Honey, you are amazing." And so to see her, like, come to this point as a matter of fact, I even have a photo of her, that I took at a performance at the Max at one point. I can't remember what the show was.
mhm,
There was, one of the performers from RuPaul's Drag Race, Nina
mhm.
was it Nina?
Yeah, Nina Flowers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Nina Flowers was there, and I got these amazing photos that I have hanging in my hallway in my home that I took from this show that they did, but Chanel is absolutely, like, one of my favorites. Anyway, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, just top notch. Chanel
Yes.
has been there with me from the start. We competed in our first pageants together. She's always helped me, and she's what I call my auntie. And then we also have what I call my drag son. His name is Apollyon D. McQueen or John Ostrander. He's amazing as well. He manages the Lincoln Drag Punch for me. So he's kind of like my right hand man when it comes to anything. And he's just an amazing performer as well. A real firecracker. I'm excited for you guys to get to meet him as well. Have you ever seen John perform?
I have not, I don't think.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Just wait. And then we have some Kennedys joining us. We have Jackie Kennedy, and we also have Jordan Kennedy from the House of Kennedys. I'm excited for both of them to be joining me, as well as Christina Rose and Matthew Steele. Matthew Steele
Yes.
is an Omaha favorite, and Christina, she moved and she left us, and she's in Minneapolis now. But I'm glad to have her back in Omaha for this opening brunch at Barrel and Vine.
Well, and that's how I found out about it is because
Christina,
Rustina is
yeah.
yes, she is my sis. She's my sis. I love Rustina. Um, but she messaged me and was like, "Hey, you have to come to this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be back in Omaha." And I was like, "What? There's a drag brunch happening in Omaha."
Yeah.
She's like, "Yes, you should come." And then I was like, "I need to speak to the person who's creating this. I'm gonna have them
Yeah.
on Speaking of Happy." And she's like, "Yes, yes, yes." And so
Yeah, I think
here we
actually the
are.
last time I saw you, Eli, was at a drag brunch. It was
Yeah.
at the one at 1860. What's the venue? 1912 in Benson was the
Yes.
last brunch that I
Was it
did in Omaha.
okay, was that the one that was just done recently, or was it one
No, it
before
was
that?
again, yeah, it was so long ago, but again, like they're hit and miss. Like you don't know when a drag brunch is gonna pop up.
Yeah,
But I hope like now we get like a stable one going where we can get a stable attendance and get people really excited about going each month.
yeah, and I think this is amazing. So Danielle Renee and Tina Hahn had the Revel
Yeah.
brunch,
Hmm.
and so that was the one, and you know what? You're right. I was, like, thinking to myself, "I have photos of you. I'm gonna have to scan through these quick and see if I can
Yeah.
find some photos from that drag brunch." But
Yeah. It was
yes,
quite a while ago because it was really hot out and I was sweating. It was a fun time, but it was really, really hot.
well, and it was before the whole pandemic shutdown. I mean, that
Oh,
was the
true.
the biggest thing is that we were, we ended up in this big pandemic shutdown, and what
Yeah.
are we gonna
Hmm.
do after that, right? So, I was looking through these photos. Here we go. Here is the drag Revel Pride brunch from 2019. Yes.
It was so
So
long ago.
it was. I know it seems like forever and a day ago, but it really wasn't like that terribly long ago. But anyway, so I'll have to see if I can scan through those photos and find some fun photos to share of you from then. Because you are an amazing performer as well. I just feel
No,
like
thank you.
we are really blessed to have some of the talent that we have here, and
Hmm.
particularly because we lose a lot of our LGBTQ folks all the time to bigger cities or even just
Yeah.
more progressive cities than we are here in Omaha. So,
Yeah. And maybe we'll get down to the root of that as well tonight.
well, let's talk about that. What do you have to say about that? Because I can tell
Yeah.
you, I mean, I was born and raised here, so I've been here my whole life.
Hmm.
I tried to escape once. I went and lived in actually New York City. I started out by working on Fire Island. And then
Hmm.
after my job on Fire Island had ended, I moved into the city because I met some folks there and they're like, you should just move into the city. And it was a good thing. It was a beautiful experience, but like we're talking about 1996,
Hmm.
97. If I had known then what I know now, I might have sought out uh, some more connection, but I was just not really hanging around in the right circles of people.
Hmm.
And I had a job change because I did get a job and then that kind of fell through and it's like expensive to live there.
Yeah.
So, I came back to Omaha and there has been many times when I've thought about leaving, but my biggest goal has always been, look, there is opportunity to actually uplift and educate
Hmm.
and bring knowledge and awareness. And when I came out as
Awareness.
trans in 2015, I knew that from my personal experience, I knew that there was so much more work that still needed to be done.
Yeah, I agree.
And at the same time, though, I can understand in my transition experience, I can understand why people leave,
Yeah.
because it's like, do you stay and have to continually combat the transphobia and the crap? Or do you
Mhm.
leave and actually start completely over again and have people see you for who you say you are and just
Mhm.
live stealth? And I mean, for me, I just didn't want to choose that. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay here and find some peace for myself. So, um, yeah, so I mean, I'm grateful for my own personal journey and that I'm still here and that I get to see a lot of these beautiful faces that are coming out of the community. I really particularly enjoy seeing the black and brown faces,
Oh, yes, of course.
because for a long time you didn't really see as many black and brown faces. So that's I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. But can you tell me, tell me what is some of the misunderstandings that people have about drag and performing?
Yeah, some of the con mis miscon I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words.
Some of the misunderstandings or how
Yeah,
people
misunderstandings.
misconstrue
Yeah, they
maybe is
might
the word.
misconstrue. The fact that we're not sex workers, they think that we are, and we're just simply not.
Right.
They think that this is a sexual themed show, and we're not sexual deviants. We're not performing sexual acts. We're not out to like change your point of view. We're not out here to convert your children. I was recently in Des Moines, and they had a show booked out in a nearby city, and I think it was just like south of Des Moines, and it was pretty small. And they were approached to do a show there, and it came out that it was not within their city guidelines to host a drag show because it contains sexual connotations, and it was involving cross dressing and too provocative, and it's just like, hey, we're not doing anything illegal. We're not like trying to convert you. We're not trying to have sex with you. It's simply we're just trying to dance and have fun for your entertainment.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy how that all happened. It ended up in the news, and their mayor did interviews on television behind all of this, and it
Wow.
all happened because it was in like a block radius of a church.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so their show got canceled, and it's a big ordeal where we are not able to do what we do for a living. Like some of us, we this isn't a hobby. This is a real life job. This is our career. And if we're not able to work, then we're not able to take care of ourselves, and that's a problem. So if
Right.
you're having a hard time understanding what exactly we do, then ask questions. I'm sure we'll be willing to answer any of your questions in order to make you feel comfortable enough to allow us to be employed.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing. I mean, why do we need to be such closed-minded um folks who just sit and make assumptions as opposed to, hey, why not just go check it out?
Yeah.
Why not just go see for yourself? I mean, are you afraid you might have some fun?
Yeah.
Like, what's the most dangerous thing that can happen at a drag performance? You might accidentally get kicked by someone because there's high kicks happening, right? You may be in the wrong place at the wrong time when someone does a death drop,
Yeah. But
but
they don't mean
really,
any harm.
right.
They're
There's
not gonna
there's
hurt you.
nothing to there's nothing to there's no ill intent. Let's just put it that way. There's no
Not at
ill
all.
intent. This is just about having fun, doing what you love, and entertaining folks, right?
Right.
Making their day a little brighter and maybe a little happier by doing something that you love. And what do people say all the time? Get a job doing something you love, and then it won't feel like work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And And it's just crazy because some of us just do not have the opportunity to find gainful employment because of transphobia, homophobia, or even racial discrimination. So if this is our only means to make funds, then why hinder that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a very complex question when you
Yeah.
say,
Why
"Why
would you
hinder?"
want to take someone's rights away? I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, I mean, just the right to exist. Just the right to exist. And there's so many things that are tied into that, right? There's
Right.
so many things that are tied into that, and sometimes I I appreciate you saying, that this is this is a performance, right?
Hmm.
This is all about performing. We're entertainers. And there is a distinction in that, I think, and it's important to understand. And I have many Black trans friends, women in particularly, who have struggled to find work.
Hmm.
And it is not for a lack of uh, skill, right? It's
Right.
it's a lack of understanding because people are afraid. Like, look, I came out as trans, and it was like they wanted to try to push me out.
Hmm.
And I went through a whole lot of stuff during that time period, that 2015 to 2018, that I wouldn't wish on anyone. I wouldn't want anyone to have to experience what I had to go through. And I'm fortunate that I still have a job, but I had to fight for it, to keep it, and to remove the barriers to my success. And there's still so many people out there that just don't understand, right? And
Right.
so that's the part that I think, there's an opportunity to have people meet people like us, right? Interact with people like us, and then just find out that, hey, what's the worst case scenario? You're way more fabulous than I am,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You're just way more fabulous than I am. So, so let me ask you this. So let's see here. It's 9:31. We got 29 minutes left in this conversation. So we could either get really, really deep, or we can keep it really light. Totally up to you. But I
Yeah.
have a couple of questions. How do you think RuPaul's Drag Race and We're Here have either helped or hindered what people that are like living life daily
Hmm.
um, have to face in the world?
Yeah, so some people will say that RuPaul's Drag Race has hurt us as entertainers, but helped us as a community. And some people will say it's the complete opposite. I think that it has helped us as a community by being able to show exactly what it is as a drag entertainer, as to what we do, who we are, and how important it is that we're around and we're still working. And on the flip side, I do think it has hindered us as local entertainers, that now seeing drag on television, there's not a need to see it in person. Or those entertainers that are on TV, when they do come to town, they do take away from me as a local entertainer to get a booking. They would rather see a RuPaul's Drag Race entertainer than they would see a local entertainer. And they would always get paid more than a local entertainer would. They have their booking fees, which are 12, 20 times as much as ours. I mean, we're lucky if we even get paid here locally, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of hard. It's a hard topic to talk about because I appreciate RuPaul's Drag Race for being kind of that beacon, but I also think that it does hurt us when we can't work in the clubs because RuPaul's Drag Race queens are occupying that space and they're making all of the money that should go back into our local community, to our local entertainers.
Yeah. Well, and it's sad because I think that there's two different things that happen. One thing is that on the RuPaul's Drag Race, and I 100% agree with you that there is money that's being taken out of the pockets of local performers, because when people come to shows, they want that bang wow, right?
Mhm.
They aren't willing, they don't understand that, look, we have some really high caliber performers right here.
Exactly.
And supporting them
Mhm.
uh, is just going to speak volumes to the local community, right? As
Right.
opposed to continually bringing in these big names, which
Mhm.
is why I like that there's been a little bit of an evolution in, say, how Heartland Pride now uh, treats performers, and that there are, they're compensating performers, and they're
Yes.
not just asking performers to come in and do nothing, right? And get
Exactly.
nothing for it. It's kind of that same thing when people approach me and say, "Oh, hey, you're a photographer. Will you
Mhm.
take some pictures for me? I'll promote you."
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Well, you
but
should
I
compensate
still
me and
right.
promote me. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that that's kind of the same thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I keep thinking, I wanted to have, so in 2019, I did, uh, produced a show here locally, and I wanted it to, evolve into something that happened annually, because it was really one of the first, daytime shows that was, uh you know, inclusive of only Black and brown performers.
Mhm.
And we also did, I mean, we had Indian tacos. We had, we called it existence, because,
Mhm.
we're here, right? We're here locally. We're doing things locally. And so I think that that's, and that was where I was going to say, reminded myself that, so where RuPaul's Drag Race has done one thing, I think We're Here takes it from that other approach, which does make it more local. And
Mhm.
it's turning local people into, uh, stars in their areas, right? And so
Mhm. Yeah.
that, to me, is that draw that you're talking about. Like, it would be really cool to have, We're Here come to Omaha and do something with an up and coming drag performer here in Omaha,
Yeah.
um, to help kind of, just bring more awareness, because that's
Awareness.
the other piece of it is there's not a lot of venues, there's not a lot of places where we can, bring that awareness to who we are as people, right? And
Right.
so that was one of the reasons why I started this live stream show and started doing Speaking of Happy, and Avalisa and I do Frankly Speaking, which tomorrow we'll have a new episode, 9 p.m. So you'll have to tune into that.
Oh.
Um, and frankly speaking, we might actually have you on that show at some point here, in the near future as well, because what we did there is we wanted to have frank conversations with everyday people and what
Mhm.
they experience as trans people, non-binary people, gender non-conforming people living in the Midwest.
Oh.
What are you facing? What are we facing as a community when we're not doing some of the cool things that we do? What happens in our everyday life,
Everyday
right?
life. Yeah. And it's quite taboo, and we don't speak of it, anything that happens to us, like in our day to day life, because we're looked at as you made this choice, so you have to live with it. And it's kind of like, I made this choice to be happy, to live an easier life, but this is not the life that I thought it would be. And whose fault is that? I don't think that's mine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's my fault for trying to be happy and ending up getting burned
Yeah.
just for trying to be myself and living comfortably.
Yeah. And we all deserve to live beyond comfortably as well. I think we all deserve to have, lives where we're thriving. That was another reason why we wanted to start Frankly Speaking, and, is more of like having frank conversations about, our dreams, our visions, the things that we want to see for ourselves. And we are deserving of all of those things, right? And
Right.
deserving of being seen and honored and affirmed for who we are fully, and not just parts of us, right? If you do this, then you'll be accepted. But if you do this, we're going to have to tell you to go away.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all colonization and assimilation, and that's all bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me, what can we expect at Drag Brunch Omaha? And I mean, is there a drag brunch in Lincoln happening sometime soon too?
Yep. So the drag brunch in Lincoln is on the last Sunday of every month. The drag brunch in Omaha is going to be the second Sunday of every month. The
Ah,
drag brunch Omaha is at Barrel and Vine. They have a very nice venue that they have agreed to share with us, and I'm excited. It is used as an event space right now. They have a DJ weekly, and it's amazing. They have pools, they have multiple bars, multiple levels. It's amazing. I'm so excited to be a part of this opportunity to start a regular drag brunch in Omaha, and we're ready to perform our butts off. We have live singers. Like I said, Chanel's going to be a live singer. We have theatrics. We have a lot of a lot of fun, kitschy entertainment that you normally wouldn't see at a normal drag brunch. And it's just going to be fun for the whole family. So I expect everyone to get their whole family involved. It's not just for you, it's for your friends, for birthdays, for anniversaries, for holidays. Whatever you feel like you need to celebrate, come celebrate with us at the drag brunch because we're down to party and have a good time.
yeah. I'm looking at this event, their website. Oh my God. This looks like a massive place.
Yeah, did you see the menu, the brunch menu as well?
I did. It loo
Oh, I'm so excited. I think we're gonna go next Sunday and just eat all the brunch food. I haven't got to try it yet, so I
Okay.
wanna go and try it because when we're working, we don't really get to try
Yeah,
the
you
food.
don't wanna eat at that point, do you?
Yeah, we don't get to eat, we don't get to drink, but afterwards, maybe, I guess, but at
So
that
let's
time,
see
it's
here. So
probably
I'm
dinner
pulling up
time.
the brunch menu. So the brunch menu, so you're talking there's a Monte Cristo sandwich,
Yum,
Italian sausage and mozzarella cheese potato casserole?
right?
What the
I know.
strawberry stuffed French toast, smothered breakfast burrito. I mean, listen, this sounds amazing. They even have a kids brunch menu.
I
Fabulous.
know. It's gonna be
Fabulous.
amazing. I'm super excited.
I'm
And it's free mimosas too with every entree served, so it's pretty legit. I'm super excited and I can't wait. And I just hope that this really takes off just like the Lincoln one did. When we started the Lincoln one, we really didn't expect it to take off as well as it did. And now look at us. And now we got the opportunity to start an Omaha one. And I'm expecting the same thing.
yeah,
And I'm just so lucky. So lucky.
yeah. So tell me when you started the drag brunch in Lincoln,
Hmm.
what was that first show like? Was it pretty heavily attended or did it take a while to kind of have people pick up on it or
No, not at all. So the first drag brunch that we had was the Pride brunch, and it happened the day after Pride. We thought it would be pretty slow because after partying all Pride weekend, Friday, Saturday, and now you have to go out on a Sunday at noon. I thought people would be too scared or too tired, but we ran out of tables, we ran out of chairs, we ran out of bar stools, we ran out of
wow,
space, and it was just amazing. We still had two shows. It was an 11 o'clock show and a 1 o'clock show. We still ran out of tables and chairs for both.
wow,
So we were very lucky. And then the second one, it was the same thing. I think we just started slowing down last month where yeah, it was November's brunch where we kind of slowed down. But I assume that it's just going to pick up as soon as it starts getting warmer out. But I mean, we're still kicking. They
yeah.
can't get rid of us. That's for sure.
Well, I am happy to hear that because I don't want anybody to get rid of you.
I know. I feel like this is what the community needed because obviously they love it, and I'm just so happy that I could provide this space for entertainers and patrons and supporters. And it's not even about the entertainers anymore. It's about the community and it's about the photographers that we book to come and shoot for our brunches. It's about the bartenders. It's about the kids that get to come out and come to an event and see the inclusion. It's about our moms and our cousins and our dads that finally get to support us. And it's just an amazing event. If you get the chance to just like sit there when you come to the brunch and just look around and see like all the smiles. It's so heartwarming, and it's a feeling like none other. And I'm so I'm so excited. It just like makes me so giddy. Like,
I see that, and I love that about you because
yeah,
it is really the revel brunches that I've gone to have been amazing. I've had a blast. They're just so much fun, and it is more like you're celebrating with family and
yeah,
not as much about like, "Oh my gosh, who's gonna be there?" Like, "Am I
yeah,
gonna have to sit by myself?" Like, it's not like that at all. It's not like going to the
hmm,
bar, not to say that, like, the bar is what it is, but I think at the same time, there needs to be more things like this that are happening outside of bar time,
yes,
and I think it
exactly.
just makes a
And I
huge
agree with
difference.
that too. And I think that's why we don't really want to hold it at a bar, is because now we get to explore opportunities where we get to include our allies. Because normally the gay bars is kind of like a gay space. And they're like, we don't want straight people intruding on our space. And it's just like, so when do we get to say thank you, allies, for all that you do and all of your support? When do we get to be around our brothers and sisters that aren't within the rainbow? And it's kind of like we have to agree that we need them,
Yeah.
because without them, we wouldn't have the opportunity to perform or the opportunity to have the venues that we do. And I think even the gay bars, sometimes they don't always support us as much as they should.
Yeah, and, I think that things have evolved too. I mean, there has been an evolution of seeing performances that are not just happening at the bar or not just happening on a Sunday during bingo.
Hmm.
The bingo events that are happening, and not to say that that's a bad thing. It is what it is, and there are people I've gone to bingo at Flicks. It's fun. I
Yeah,
love me some Fantasia Garcia, right?
yeah,
Amazing human beings, and so those are all things that I wanna support, but I also think you're right, that there are times when I feel like that the bar mentality doesn't necessarily always have all of our best interests in mind. And it just is what it is. I mean, come on,
hmm,
performing and even competitions have changed over time because there was a time when there were local bars that said if you were a trans woman, you couldn't
hmm,
try out for the pageant.
yeah. Things are changing drastically, and I actually went to the Max last night and I supported a show there. And for once, I felt like the entertainers were happy. I was elated to find out that they got paid, because as you know, a lot of entertainers, we talked about it earlier, a lot of entertainers, they move away to bigger cities, and that's the reason why, is because we don't get paid as entertainers. We
Right.
walk into a bar and we're expected to perform and fill the bar with our supporters or our fans and family, but we don't get compensated for that. Sometimes they'll say you might get paid from the door, and we'll have to split, like, say, whoever they charge to come into the door. But we're not controlling how many people come in the door or who pays to come into the door. But
Right.
somehow we are expected to split that or get drink tickets as a form of compensation. And so with my drag brunch, I wanted to make sure that the entertainers felt comfortable having another fellow entertainer facilitate a way for them to get compensated properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this is kind of this a similar thing that what I did with Existence. That show in 2019 was about finding, right? So what I did is I partnered with a local, it was the NUIHC, which is the Nebraska Urban Indian Health Coalition, and SOMS, which is Soaring Over Meth and Suicide.
Mhm,
The person that I was working with at that time has left those organizations. She's amazing. But anyway, we partnered, and through the nonprofit, we were
Mhm.
able to go out and find sponsors. So what I did is I found individual companies that were willing to sponsor the performers.
Mm.
And so there was an initial $75 that went directly to the performer.
Oh,
And
that's nice.
so whatever local organization or person, like we had a couple of people just say, "Hey, I'll sponsor a drag queen
Oh,
or
that's
a drag
awesome.
performer for 25 or for $75." I was like, "Sweet." And I'd say,
Yeah.
"Here's where you need to make the donation to," and then and
Mhm.
just tell them it's for the performer. And I let them pick the performer that they wanted to support. And
Mhm.
we had like a little, there was a booths up for each person or organization that actually sponsored a performer.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
and so, and then we brought in Lady Shug. I don't know if you've met or heard of
Mm-mm.
Lady Shug. So Shug de la Cruz, who is from Albuquerque, or actually from she is Dene from the Navajo Nation, Dene Nation from Four Corners down in that area in Albuquerque, near Albuquerque. And
Nice.
so we brought her in, and she's just amazing. She actually was on the first season of We're Here in one of the episodes because
Oh,
one of her
really?
friends was one of the folks that was selected to actually
Oh,
go through the experience. And
nice.
so, yeah, so she's actually, as a matter of fact, she was also in season 2. I think it was episode 2 or 3. They did something in Hawaii,
Mm.
because she's been a part of, and knows folks who are like the part of, Icon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a whole nother,
Well,
that's a whole
Icon's
nother,
amazing.
yeah,
I
that's a whole
I
nother
appreciate
conversation.
everything that Icon does.
Yes, they've done a lot of really wonderful things, and I've tried for a long time to have them, first of all, on my podcast, and I would have loved to have them, still, if there's somebody from Icon watching, I would still love to interview them on the show,
Yeah.
because they've done a lot of fundraising. Because that's the other thing that
Mhm.
kind of turned into performance turned into fundraising. So we weren't
Yeah.
gonna compensate you, but we're gonna raise a bunch of money and give it
Mhm.
to a nonprofit that needs it, which is all good things.
Yeah, it's
But it's like
great.
putting the cart before the horse to a certain degree
Mhm.
because, some of these organizations weren't necessarily supporting trans folks.
Oh,
They might support LGB folks, right?
yeah,
But there was a whole lot of knowledge and awareness that needed to be uplifted within these nonprofit organizations about our community as well.
for sure.
And so there's
And
a lot of layers to it.
yeah, and us as entertainers, we do not mind doing benefits. We do not mind doing benefits, but just let us know that, hey, so you're going to be donating your time, and maybe the venue will have other shows throughout the week that you will actually get paid for. But that's the problem is we would never get paid. So it's like every show we're donating our time. And some of us are hairstylists, makeup artists, wig makers, like we make our own costumes. We
Yeah.
do a lot. And within that comes a lot of time. And so it's hard to spend so much time on something and not get any kind of compensation back. If we're
Yeah.
doing this just for fun, then that's fine. Then how can we support ourselves
Well,
financially?
and again, like for some of these pageants, I've heard some of my friends have spent, upwards of 1,000, two thousand
Mhm.
dollars in costuming.
Yeah, and that's just to ensure that we have bookings throughout the year.
Yeah.
That's why we are so focused on doing pageants is to find out how we can ensure that we get paid throughout the year. But if the venues aren't paying us, then what's the point of doing the pageant?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like a catch 22 for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's really, your entrepreneurial spirit speaks right directly to my heart because I have that kind of spirit myself. And,
Mhm.
knowing that pretty much my entire lifetime I've been undervalued and underpaid, right? And then, like I said, coming out as trans in 2015 and going through everything I went through with my job, which I still am employed, and they
Yeah.
know that I talk about the bad time.
Mhm.
There's lots of good things that are happening now, so I appreciate that. But the struggle is real here. I mean, the struggle for us as trans folks is real, and depending upon the intersections of our identities also make a
Mhm.
difference. And there's so many different ways we need to uplift knowledge and awareness anyway. But I think it's great that you're doing something that you love and bringing something to folks to uplift and entertain and make them feel good and happy on a Sunday,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
also creating jobs and employment for entertainers.
Yes. See, and there's your entrepreneurial spirit again.
Yeah, because I just want to get back to the community that's given me so much, and I would
Yeah,
be no one if it wasn't for my local entertainers that have given me this opportunity. I would be
yeah,
nowhere without my coworkers and peers. So,
yeah. Well, and I think that that's amazing. I mean, you really have done some phenomenal things in your lifetime, in the past 12 years of your career, and I think that you also are very down to earth about it, right? Like
I'm
seriously, you're
I'm
so
just a black trans girl from Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean, I can't be stuck up about it.
well, you're so grounded. That's what I
Yeah,
love about it. Is like you're just so grounded in what's so and that you're doing something that you love and
yeah,
you want people to support performers here that are local.
yeah,
And I agree. I think that it's amazing. I'm gonna have to dig out some from the archives, my old Chanel performance from
yeah,
I should you know what, actually, I think it actually exists on YouTube still.
yep.
She'd probably kill me if if I share.
I posted videos of Chanel on YouTube. I adore Chanel. My talent from the Q is on YouTube. Yeah, there's lots of great archives from the Q on there as well.
Yeah, see, I don't know if this is gonna show up here. I don't think so. I might have to try to find it on Facebook. If my friend, Portia was watching, she would tell you because
Oh,
she was one of the people. You know
yeah, I
Portia?
love Portia. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
Portia.
see? Portia was one of the co-hosts of the Gay Hour. Let's see, Ayana, my granddaughter, is watching. She cannot comment because she's locked out of Facebook, but she wanted to say hello to you.
Hi. Thank you for watching.
I love her. She is such a good egg, that one there. So grateful. But anyway, and then unfortunately, we did lose one of our Gay Hour folks recently. He passed. He was so young. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you that she it's Dior.
Oh, it's Dior. Hi, Dior.
Yeah. Her name, she goes by Aya. And you know what? She changes her name quite frequently.
Every week
Yes.
it's a new name.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all.
She can be Dior, she can be Ayana. She just keep Trampa Eli updated so I can keep it updated on my phone in all the places. Right? Too funny. So, what else? What else should the folks know in this last few minutes of the show here this evening? What else should the folks know about the upcoming show?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to be bringing a brunch to Omaha. The tickets are $20, but using hashtag CeCe, you get $5 off. So that brings your ticket to 15 bucks. Kids do get in free. So that's a advantage to being able to come. So you don't have to worry about finding a babysitter. Just bring the little ones along and they get in for free. So all you gotta do is purchase their meal and they get to sit back and have fun, enjoy the show while you're also able to enjoy the show as well. So I hope to see everyone out, and I'm excited to perform and bring my friends along to perform for you as well.
I am excited for the show. Like I said, I bought 2 tickets.
Yeah,
I'm solo right now, so I don't know. I'll just have to see if I can find a plus one to
yeah, I'm
bring
sure
with
you'll
me.
be. If
But
not, then we have plenty of room. The venue sits like 200 people downstairs,
oh, that's
so
amazing.
and
So are
it's
you
plenty
gonna
of room.
be just in one area of the venue performing?
Yep. So we are going to occupy the main stage for this first brunch. And as they get busier and it gets warmer, then we'll kind of occupy the whole venue and move about. We might even go upstairs to the pool area and start doing shows up there. And I think that's going to be super fun. And maybe we'll jump into the pool for like our last number or something. I don't know. we'll have to figure out how we can make that super fun, but
Yeah,
I'm super excited.
you've already been brainstorming it, haven't you?
I
You're
know.
like,
It
oh,
doesn't stop. It honestly doesn't stop. Every day, like I'm working on the website because I built the website myself, and so I'm working on the website every day, adding events, adding pictures, like moving stuff about, doing the merchandise over again or something. I'm always working.
oh, see, my granddaughter just said she would be my plus one.
Oh, see,
Okay,
there you go.
you are in. All right, awesome. I have no idea what this comment is supposed to mean.
I don't know either.
NIOS and something site. Okay, that's probably a bot. I should probably block that person. I'm going to put the user in a timeout. That's what it says. I can put the user in a timeout. Well, CeCe, thank you so much. I know we were supposed to do this last week and then I spaced it off and I'm so sorry. I hope
And then
this
the
makes up for
holidays.
it. Yes. And then we had the holidays. But I appreciate you so much. I'm excited. I might do a
Yeah.
little live streaming from the venue
Oh, please do.
the day
Please do.
of. And maybe we should talk. Maybe there's somewhere where I can like set up a little place where I can do some live
Yeah.
streaming and maybe talk to some of the performers too. Might be kind of
Yeah. I know a place. I know exactly where you could be put. I'm so
okay.
excited. We'll talk
Awesome.
though.
Okay.
Thank you for having
All
me.
right. You're so welcome. Have a wonderful evening. Can you
You
please
too.
message me your Venmo or your PayPal or something? Because I'd like to shoot you over a little
Oh,
thank you gift for being
oh,
on the
thank
show
you.
with me this evening.
I will do so. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for having me.
You're so welcome. Take care. All right. Drag,
Bye.
don't forget Drag Brunch Omaha happening January 16th. Show is at 11 a.m. All right.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.